Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Lynette. Today we're going to talk about the fact that we did all the work. Now let's just have fun. I have actually condensed all that I've lived through in the last 10, 15 plus years into 12 episodes. So consequently, you're probably going to have to listen to them over and over because it does take time to make a new way of thinking a reality. However, at this point, let's just be happy that we've learned a new attitude, a new way of energy, a new way of thinking. And now let's just really have fun. Let's have fun and enjoy our lives. Because I have shared with you all that we've gone through, I feel like we are all now on the same page. I'm going through exactly what you're going through, putting one step in front of the other, trying to keep my thoughts more positive. And in short, just enjoying this thing called life a bit more. But in this episode, we will go over the highlights, the things that you need to work on a daily basis, because life has a way of throwing things at you, so you have to have your tools ready. And your mind has to be in that thought pattern to be able to make all this happen and take things in stride. This podcast started out to address only the people that are sick and are going through that journey, because it definitely is a difficult one. I understand that. But there's a lot of journeys that life throws at us, and hopefully there's a majority of those that are just skating along wonderfully, and I applaud them. But for those of us that have had things hit us pretty hard, it's good to be able to combat that with your thoughts, combat that with your outlook in life. Because life is meant to be enjoyed regardless of what it's throwing at you. One of the first things that I talked about in the beginning was it's okay to glance at the past, but don't stare. That is very important to keep your moods elevated. Because when you think about the past, I don't know why, but we tend to go through things that were somewhat unpleasant. And it's important to stay in the present moment. And when you say to yourself, it's okay to glance at the past, but don't stare, it's almost like a fast track to being in the here and now. It's skipping all the minutes or hours of meditation that you need to do, and it brings you right back to the present moment. And in reality, if you can live in the present moment, everything is joyous, everything is wonderful, because moment by moment in this journey called life, we enjoy putting one foot in front of the other. We never know what life is going to bring to us. The second thing I want to talk about is not depending on anybody else to make you happy. If you can find a way to make yourself happy, it's like a magnet to others. And then when others do come around and they do invite you places or they do want to spend time with you, it's just an additional bonus. It's an additional blessing. So it's very important to not depend on others to make you happy, because that creates too many highs and lows. The third thing we talked about is keeping your priorities straight. It goes God, yourself, your family, and then everyone else. And I know you might stop and think, oh my gosh, is it selfish to keep myself before my family? No, it's not. Because if you give away everything you have, whether it be energy, finances, whatever, you have nothing left to give. So you have to keep yourself intact and be the best person you can be in order to give to others. That doesn't mean you shrug responsibilities. You still take care of the people you need to take care of, and they are in a sense, still your priority, but you've got to keep yourself in good shape in order to take care of others. And that goes for mentally and physically. And I certainly do not mean in a selfish way. In a sense, you're doing that in a non-selfish way. So you have more to give. So you're funner to be around. So you feel like you have time to spend with those that you love. Next, we talked about visualization. Now, whether it's a illness that you're struggling with or you need a new job, whatever it is, you can visualize that happening. You can visualize your internal body responding correctly, or you can visualize yourself talking to a boss and having them smile and saying you're hired. Whatever it is important to get your mindset in a positive way toward the outcome. And also, what is pretty obvious, we talked about eating correctly. That is very important. Our body needs nutrients. It needs to be treated with loving care so it can respond the way that we expect it to and the way that we want it to. The other thing is exercise. As I said, even if you can only move one finger, start with that finger. It is very important to not only feed your body correctly, but to keep it moving the best you can. And it will start to respond accordingly. I myself am having some mobility problems, and so I've been forcing myself to walk more. And I told somebody that I've been walking more, and they said, "Be careful you don't fall." Now, I wasn't even thinking about falling ever until they said that. Now it's like, I think about that every time I stand up. So there we go with the toxic thoughts that people can put in your mind. So we need to learn how to combat those thoughts because they're always thrown at you. There's always negative people that are going to say something. And then something that's important to do is to learn to flip negative thoughts into positive thoughts. And one way to do that is to write down your negative thought and just below it, write down a positive thought. You will only have to do that for about a week or so, and then your brain will automatically start to flip negative into positive. That is very important. So basically, we need to remember it's okay to glance at the past, but don't stare, and not to depend on anybody to make us happy. Keep our priorities straight. Eat correctly, exercise, and flip our negative thoughts into positive thoughts. And then there's those two scriptures that I mentioned to you that are good to carry in your heart. And that is, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And the other one is, he who has begun a good work in you will continue until the end. Today is my 12th and final episode for this season anyway. My hope and desire is to be able to interview people, especially those that are going through pretty serious trials themselves, and how they keep going with a smile on their face and what they have found to work for them. But during this pandemic, I'm unable to have people over to sit in the studio closely with me, so I have to wait on that. In the meantime, I feel like I've shared about everything I can share with you that has helped me, and I feel like we're both on the same page right now. As I said, from now on, we'll walk together. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for listening to my podcast. I wish you all the very best, and I hope and pray everybody stays safe during this time. Here's to health and happiness. Until then, God bless. Bye-bye.